ladies, is thermal imaging. So, you guys can see me in there. Why would we use this? Never mind my go to work tabs that like to pop up. So why do you think we use this guy? Cold spots. Yeah, so we're looking for those. It's the old adage that ghosts create cold spots. So again, I should be orange, red, and yellow. If something blue comes across my face, we obviously have something going on. So I have different thermometers that we're not going to pull out just because it's just the three of us. We pull them out when needed. So that's, I will carry the whole kit with me, even though we're going to focus on just, the specific tools. So with this, who wants to go with this guy? She's like, yes. So you're going to hold that horizontal all night long. Yes, it's a little heavier than a cell phone. There is a battery pack attached to the back to keep the camera charged, which is on this side, and the camera is actually at the bottom left for you. Okay. So do you see the red square?
I do.
That means it's recording already. So you're going to have the audio, which is normally when I have a group of 10, sometimes I separate from that person, so that way I have 2 points of audio. And I usually give that to the skeptic because I love to hear their comments all night long and then call them out in the morning when I'm writing the notes, which is a lot of fun. So then they give me a bad review and I got to be careful.
I'm the one that's going to check this shit out.
So if that turns to a circle, you just got to let me know because then I have to splice more than one video together. But I upload it to YouTube and then send it back to my website, so it's, all your data is in one place.
Okay.
All right. So, spirit boxes. So this one in particular, I love this guy. This is the S-Box by Ghost Stop. So this one actually records the entire session for us. Are we both familiar with what a spirit box is? Okay. So spirit box is going to flick through all of the radio stations at a very quick rate. Have you ever watched the ghost hunting shows with her?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the staticky noise, and then they give you the phrase.
Yeah.
Okay, that's suggestive thinking. We're not doing that tonight. We're doing this in real time, which means you have to tell me what it says. Okay. The cool thing is that it's going to record the entire session even when it's on mute. So right now, it's already recording the radio sweep. Now I have this one set a little bit slower than that crazy static you hear on TV because you're not used to listening to this for long periods of time.
Yeah.
So I want the radio chatter to come through. I want the DJ, the song lyric, the commercial, whatever you hear. If you can make it out, let us know what it is. And we're going to teach you actually how to use this the right professional way. So what you see on TV isn't real life. Like it's 50-50 on whether it's actually real life. So this one, so you can see it flipping through the stations already. You can hear the radio chatter coming through. In the event you can actually make anything out, just let us know. If not, it's okay. I'm going to scan through it in the morning, and that way I'm going to give you certain markers of what I heard. It might be relevant, it might not be. You have one button to worry about. When I'm talking, as you can see that I'm not a very high projected talker, just keep it down on mute, it's recording, and then there's a little turn wheel right here at the top. You just turn it up until you can actually hear it. So that goes to you. I'm going to give you something else so that way you can figure out where all the hotspots are. So EMF meters are pretty common on your ghost hunting shows. However, they never tell you what they actually do. Half the shit you see on TV, bogus. I can debunk it almost every single time. So this is the same one they use on TV. It measures 3 different types of electromagnetic fields. The first one's natural, comes from the earth. That's why it's green. It's not doing anything. It's just a natural balance. The next one is going to be electrical items, so cell phones, parking meters, buildings. It's going to make it go into a pulse. We can be able to snap our fingers and find a rhythm to it. We don't want that either. We want this thing to light up like a Christmas tree, because at that point, if I can't debunk what it is, or something nearby, we probably have something going on, which is when we really need to be paying attention to your spirit box. It doesn't do anything, it doesn't make any vibrating or noise or anything like that. It just lights up. So you're going to be double-fisted.
Right.
Sorry, but you have the most expensive piece of equipment I have, so you're going to be stuck with that. I am going to use a few things myself on my cell phone. So, and I will teach you how these work real quick, and then we'll get rolling. I know, it's always a teach and train. Can you imagine 10 people here? I'm here for 30 minutes trying to teach people how to ghost hunt. Let's see. Oh, my daughter telling me she ditched me for a football game. Good job. So she lives in Myrtle Beach with her mom. And she was supposed to come down this past weekend. I said, hey, there's a dance coming up. Do you mind if I stay up here? No problem. I'm not going to stop you from doing high school stuff. And she tells me, oh, I just went to the football game. You jerk. You ditched me to go to a football game? Alright, so I do have a backup EMF in case yours goes down and the battery drains. It's happened in the past. If I need something in a pinch, it's right there. So this is a spirit box that's going to give us a word from time to time in the center of the screen. It's going to save all of those words into a list. The last group I had 61 entries. We're going to clear them out so that your list starts fresh. 80% of this list is absolute bullshit. It's up to me to find the 5 to 20% that actually makes sense and give you the link of where I'm getting my information from. The other tool I'm going to use is a reverse spirit box. Now this one's a little goofy just because it is, they said, I debunked it as well, they said it was FM radio stations being swept backwards. So they played it and then it's supposed to flip it backwards. Well, that didn't happen. So because I have the software to analyze EVPs, I threw it into software and flipped it forwards so I can actually hear what it says. It's literally just a man and a woman saying random words. I looped it for over an hour just to see what it was, and I never heard the same word twice. Like I'm literally writing things down, just so I can see if there was a pattern. No pattern. I don't know how long the loop is, but I'm going to play an EVP for you that I caught a couple months ago now, of what actually came out of this. But I'm going to turn this up just so you guys can get the gist of what it sounds like at first. Okay, complete gibberish. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So the EVP that I caught, get in there. Baked beans breakfast. Baked beans breakfast.
Baked beans breakfast. Sounds like for breakfast.
It's like baked beans breakfast.
Baked beans breakfast. So here's what happened. Your spirit box told me, I'll fix you. Baked beans breakfast. And then the digital word list gave me the word tea, all within 2.5 minutes of each other. I didn't catch it till the next morning. Now I caught baked beans breakfast in real time, but I didn't see everything else until the next morning. I'll fix you baked beans breakfast and tea. I was talking about a woman from England, and that would be a very proper breakfast over in the UK.
Oh, wow.
So that kind of shows you how I have to look at this in the morning as a collective, because we're going to miss shit. I can guarantee it. So again, if it's relevant or not, like I'll fix you, doesn't make sense by itself, but you add it to those other two phrases and it works.
Right.
So again, it's not me reaching, it's literally finding what clues are actually there.
Right. Or I'll fix you by itself is like, sounds threatening.
It does.
Right.
It does. It sounds very threatening. Right. You're absolutely correct. So I keep this one running all night long, and it'll be out, like, on. But we start here for a reason. The place that we're starting at is Big John's. How long have you guys lived here?
A little over 2 years.
Okay, so not long at all. So that was back in the 70s. Big John was a football player. Obviously, I'm not a football player or for a football person because I just made fun of my daughter for ditching me for a football game. But John played for the New York Giants in 1947 to 1952. So I'm always going to give you clues of what could come out of that spirit box. So the number 47 or the number 48, and then the name of one of the 48 teammates or some, it's happened before. So anyway, he used to sit in the back of the bar, and he used to kind of nod off to the bartender if the cadets were of age or not that came over from the Citadel. One night, two guys come over, they're not of age. Big John says, get them out of here, cut them off. So they leave, pissed off, they come back the next night and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the building. Big John sees this, they get into a little wrestling match, shots were fired, John gets shot in the neck, the bullet ricochets and lands in a wall. Big John gets up, sits back at the bar and says, get him an ambulance, get me another beer. So, John was a pretty big guy. Now, it's not any, I just told you of a story that nobody died, right? So, the bullet hole landed in a wall. I don't know how paranormal activity is going to affect you guys. It is said that sometimes when people sit in front of this bar, they start to feel a little queasy, dizzy, nauseous, those kind of things. Just normal paranormal activity type symptoms. I don't know what's going to happen to the two of you tonight. I can't guarantee that we're going to see any activity. All I can guarantee you is some really cool stories, and you can learn a thing or two about your devices. But if something is going wrong, even the slightest bit of headache, I need to know. It's that serious?
I'll know because I can pick up things.
She picks up stuff very easily.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's good to know. Thank you for telling me. Because the first time somebody passed out on me, I was in CPR class the next day.
Oh, jeez.
And it wasn't...
No, it's not like that. I just get this feeling in my gut when there's something around. Because we've been in places, like when we were in Wilmington, I'm like, there's something here. There's something here. And then they told us a story, like, you're standing on top of a burial ground, blah, blah, blah. And
Right.
I'm like, oh, well, that explains it.
So I get that too, only I don't bring it to the tour. If I say we need to go, we need to go.
Okay.
Like and I usually base it off of the data we're getting and or a feeling that I have on top of that. So you're going to see that I don't get excited over one little thing like your EMF going off. I need to see more. So if I get some odd feeling and I get like Satan and demon and all kinds of shit just popping all over the place, and you've got cold spots everywhere, we're out. We're done.
Yeah.
We're moving on. If you start to not feel well, then we are also moving on. We're trying to get you to a better place.
Sorry.
So, get the word yank. You see how the words come up?
Oh, it's about you.
Why is that?
Because she's from up north.
So am I.
It's about you too, then.
But I wouldn't be considered a Yankee, though. I'm from Ohio. Where are you from?
Pennsylvania.
What part?
Southwest, Somerset.
Okay. My wife is actually from Latrobe.
Oh, wow, yes. Yep.
So, small world. But the funny
Right.
thing is we actually met in Myrtle Beach.
Oh, wow.
We were best friends up there when I left my ex-wife.
Oh, wow.
And we just became a couple and got married. So, that's kind of how that went. But anyway, the other story that happened here is we did have a big earthquake here in 1886. And it's a big one for Charleston because we don't get earthquakes. So it's a 7 point something on the Richter scale. I don't think they even had the right measurement tools to be able to give us an exact number. But the mantle that's on the building on the side here also wraps around the front. Is he really listening to some old school Janet Jackson?
Yes,
Is that what that
yes.
is? Wow. Yeah. But anyway, it wraps down the front as well. And a piece of that broke off from the earthquake, hit somebody in the head, and apparently killed him. And it was allegedly the first death from that earthquake. I don't have any proof of that. I can't find the research that says that. However, the previous owner of this bar, his name was Paul from Cane Rum Bar, he used to see dark shadows out here on East Bay Street after it closed. I can't verify it. I don't usually get a whole lot here. Just a matter of Big John's teammates coming through. So, you guys ready to go learn some history?
Absolutely.
So the first place we're going to go to is actually kind of like the practice area. So you have to imagine if this is a group of 10, this first place doesn't have a ton of history, but it is haunted. And that way it gives me a chance to bounce around with everybody and kind of show them a little bit more tactic about the device. So just the three of us, I'll give you the skinny, and then we'll kind of see what we got going on. And you guys can ask me a million questions if you want to before we go on scratch. So is this what you were hoping for?
Yep.
I'm not going to always take you to pretty spots either.
Well, it was a parking lot like this in Wilmington.
You had something going. I seen some flashes. Yeah. Good. All right, so a couple things here, and only because you guys are locals, I'll give you some of the extra little back pocket stories I have. And because it's only the three of us, we will probably move a whole lot quicker than it would be 10. So there is a cafe right over there called Crew Cafe, over there in the corner. That place they actually say is haunted as well, but I can't find any stories that they're trying to verify with me. They want me to do an investigation. But if I can't get a little bit more history and at least prove that a suicide happened there, that, like they're claiming, I'm probably going to pass it up. I was supposed to have done it already, but I'm probably not even going to call them out. But they say there was a suicide there, but that house used to be a slave home. So that plot of land didn't have an address. Not to mention, it's a 2-story, very large old building house. I'm pretty sure a slave didn't live in the 2-story building. Yeah. So it's either reconstruct, rebuild, add on, something.
Right.
And there's just too much going on there that I can't figure out, so I'm probably going to pass it up. Right past that, for you, like, anybody here a history buff? Either one of you?
No.
Not particularly?
Some things.
Yeah.
It was lighting up red for a second.
Yeah. I want to see how far it goes.
It went all the way red just for a second.
And sometimes that'll start going off when we walk in, sometimes it'll wait until we leave. And I'll explain where we're standing here in a second. Charleston, back in the 1700s, was much skinnier than what it is now, okay, just because of all the extra shit that we added to the edges. So Revolutionary War ship rolls up, shoots a cannon, and it lands right at the stop sign next to Crew Cafe. That was a neighborhood at the time, no deaths, no tragedies, no paranormal activity on my end, just a matter of pretty cool shit. We actually can pinpoint exactly where something fell. I did get the word damn, as in damn Yankees. It's not spelled properly. But anyway, so where are we now? This is where we keep the horses for the carriage rides. Have you guys taken a carriage ride at least?
No.
No.
Well, I guess I do that at least.
I know. We
So,
don't want to in the summertime, though. Not when it's, like, blazing hot.
yeah, it's actually not too bad. It's actually like the most romantic thing you can do in Charleston, I think.
I was wondering why I could smell poop through my mask.
Yeah, that's the horses. So,
It's gone red
Yeah,
again.
It did. It went red.
nice. So I'm looking for patterns. We're standing on top of a sewer line. There's no reason why that should be going off. There's no electrical lines underneath us. We're too far away from either of the buildings for it to be touching it. The history here is that this is the same red barn where they kept the horses that delivered milk to Charleston. So what we can be listening for are things like delivery, milk, horses, draft, because they're draft horses. There's all kinds of terms. So let's talk about your spirit box for a second, because that's all the history I got. And we're only talking 1860s and 1920s, which isn't that old for Charleston. Father. So spirit boxes, this is not Billy, why did you kill Joey kind of mentality. We're going to start off very simple in this line. Okay, it's going to be things that we already know. We know that the barn is red. We know that there's horses inside. So it's going to be, hey, what color is that barn? We're going to wait about 30 seconds, ask the same question again. Can you tell me what color the barn is? Just maybe try to rephrase it a little bit. At that point, there's no deviating from the word or color red. So sometimes they'll answer through this guy. They'll show us the color red. What color is the barn? And if we haven't seen red, all of a sudden it'll be blazing red and stay there for a few seconds. We've seen that before.
Like that?
Like it's doing right now.
Yep. After a few tries, say 3, 4, maybe 5 times max, we're going to move on to another question. Can you tell me what's inside the barn? And this isn't that they're inside the box. A lot of people want to talk inside the device. They're not in the box. We also have to remember, I know, it's a conversation with what used to be a person.
Right.
You know, and they still might think that they are a person. I never get the same thing in here twice. Sometimes I get Big John's teammates. Sometimes I get a stable boy who wants to tell me he was killed and hung. We never know. I mean, it's just a matter of putting those clues together of what's actually happening here. But the first thing we have to decide is and figure out is if there's somebody actually here. Now I got the word valley, which is weird. I've never seen that word before, first off. Second, the town that I came from was called the Mahoning Valley. I'm sure Youngstown, Ohio is very familiar to me. It's called the Mahoning Valley. So I'm wondering how much is actually relating here. But anyway. So the spirit box, we don't want to get too close to the windows. Their fans are running to keep them cool, so they will get a little bit spooked from, you know, our loud noise. Thermodynamics. Let's give you a couple of laws of what you're looking for. So first thing I want you to do is I want you to point at, let's get to a nice clear wall. So just get this part of the wall in focus for me. And what do you got?
It's just blue.
Just one color,
Oh,
correct?
now it's purple.
Okay. So if you have all one solid color, you always want to try to keep a person in view. I know it's going to be tough with the 3 of us, but you see how everything just fluctuated?
Yeah.
So that way, we can see all the colors and if something starts to move on us. So you always want to try to keep one person, because flesh right now, outside is probably what? What are we talking? 70 degrees on the wall?
75.
Okay, so 70 to 74. So my flesh is going to be 97 to 98 degrees, roughly. Far away from me, so it might even be down to 96. So, with that being said, you
What's
want
on your chest?
this is the voice recorder. So this is going to be cooler than this guy.
Yeah.
So I am going to show you. I'm getting a lot of words, by the way, but I'm going to pause it just for a second, just so I can show you.
This is really lighting up now. I'm up to all 5.
Get to that video. So I caught a video that is set up to black, cold, white, hot at all times. I never change it. So what we're watching in this video are 2 people, 2 living people, walking past that wall to the big orange wall back there. You're going to see 2 heads. You see them?
Yeah.
Now we're going to fast forward a little bit, and you're going to see 2 black heads going the opposite way.
Yep.
Now, keep in
cool.
mind, that person was in view at all times because that person followed my direction. I've had firemen look at this and mechanics, they can't explain it. This is a tool that they use all the time with that particular camera. So, again, I'd just like to give you a gist of what you're actually looking for. But you're going to be doing nice slow sweeps. The cell phone technology we have of cameras is not built into the FLIR. It's only about that thermodynamics. So you want to move nice and slow so it doesn't pixelate. It will stop to calibrate probably every 1.5 to 2 minutes. That's fine. You want it to be able to get the right temperature for us, but pixelization kind of messes things up when we're actually looking for things. A lot of times if we have an active night, I blow it up on my TV so I can watch it on a much larger screen. I guarantee you're going to miss something. I mean, something might come by that's at least questionable. Now the other piece, you can go ahead and turn it up so we can get a listen. Maybe you can ask a few questions. Maybe start with the red barn question just to see if we can get any kind of answer. Thermodynamics in reverse. So if you see things start to heat up, the law of thermodynamics number 2 says that temperature can't be created or destroyed.
Right.
So, I know, masks are rough. I hate them. So something has to balance somewhere. So if we see something growing in heat, that means something else has to get colder. It has to balance. I don't want you to look for that cold spot. The piece that's growing in heat is enough for me. I'm talking like 10 to 15 degrees in like 8 to 12 seconds.
Okay.
Like that's a fast increase, you know. So if something like that starts to happen, just stay focused on it. Say something on the audio like, hey, I actually see something growing in heat. You know, just so I can mark it and find it right away. I didn't realize that they built that thing like that. I don't think I've ever seen them come through here. All right, so let's just kind of take a quick meander through here. We'll listen to the spirit box, and if somebody's actually hanging out with us, tell us what color that barn is for us. We have a lot of devices here that we can talk to, lots of different colored boxes. I'm watching the DMF too to see if it like spikes the red anywhere. Something's going on. I almost see a pattern too, which is weird. Now it wants to walk away. That's why they call it ghost hunting. Oh, now you're getting ready. Okay. I'll turn it up a little bit. Can you tell us what's inside the barn? You showed us the color red. Tell us what's inside the barn. This is Austin? Is that what he said? Or they say this is awesome? I want you to tell us what's inside the barn. What type of animal? Consider that a pattern. This animal's yellow. That's so weird. There's nothing here that you did. Because if it was that electrical box, it would be glowing red as you got closer to it. If you want to test it, by all means. Yeah, that thing's all over the place now. She's going to be the quiet one all night, huh? No commentary on the video. Tell us what's inside that barn.
Emergency to get out.
Emergency to get out.
What did it say?
Family tradition.
Family tradition. Wild horse. What's that?
Touchdown.
Oh, that's cool.
Functional.
I heard celebrating. I also stay away from yes or no questions. Reason for that, somebody says, hey, is somebody here? And they answer no, it still means somebody's here.
Right.
But at the same token, if they say the word houses, you think you heard the word yes, because S and O are two of the most common phonetic sounds in the English language. So I always stay away from those trick questions. Because I just got the name Mark on my first, and Amanda.
Actually, I was showing.
25. See, that's a football number to me. I'm going to be looking at, I got a Mark, I got 25. I need to see if there's a connection there. Because if there was a Mark married to an Amanda, he was number 25 on the team, we obviously have something.
That sounds like really young names, though.
Yeah.
Well, the voice doesn't matter. It's about the message. So really, like, I write this stuff down as I listen to your spirit box in the morning, and then I look at the message. I don't write down male or female. I just write down what the message is, because sometimes it's a collective of what am I getting out of this.
That's
Complicated.
Yep. This one either. I heard Mark again.
Who's Mark? Where is Mark? You're not what?
Alright, looking for trouble.
So, Mark, if you played with Big John, what team was that for?
It's John McCarthy.
John McCarthy.
Message. There's a lot going on in there. I also don't write that, like, I don't go through the whole thing. I just kind of go through the highlights, so I'll be looking at this for sure. But let's go on some real history.
Yeah.
What did that just say?
What's that?
What did it just say?
Again, this is kind of like the crash course.
See, now it's going down to.
Mm-hmm. Possibly. We can switch on occasion.
Alright, so, yes, another beautiful parking lot. So this is home to Eliza and Charles Pinckney. So you guys have probably seen the name Pinckney around town a few thousand times. This is where Eliza and Charles lived. Their mansion was in the front. Eliza's garden would have been lined up with that first tree over there all the way across, and then we would be standing where the slave or the servant was. So I call them servants, but it's included their home servants. So with that being said, this is where the baked beans breakfast came from. Also where that video came from that I just showed you. That occurred right up in that corner. So here's their story. Let's go ahead and cut that off for a minute. So I don't feel like I'm screaming over it. So Eliza married, well, first off, Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles, and then they had a nephew named Charles. The son and the nephew were signers of our Constitution. Obviously the son was raised here. I hate politics, it's 2020. You guys are probably here to get away from the politic talk. So let's talk about Eliza. She married Charles, so she didn't have to go home to her sick father who thought he was dying. He wanted all his kids home. He didn't die. She got married and became a U.S. citizen and stayed here instead. But when he got better, he started sending her gifts over from England. One of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. So you guys have probably seen indigo around town a few thousand times as well. Indigo was already like a pretty deep culture here with the Gullah culture. So she just pretty much took that because her servants and slaves already knew how to cultivate it, and she made it profitable. So she used Dad's resources overseas to be able to sell all of that indigo overseas. The indigo makes a blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. You guys are wearing it right now. So we still use it today. And I think Levi is the major corporation for indigo. But where was I? So Dad did the overseas, and there's a lot of weird things about Eliza that we're going to listen for. And Eliza did a whole lot more than what I'm telling you here about the indigo. It's only because that's a lot of the clues that I get when I'm here. Not to mention, there's been books. I'm not going to recite a whole novel to you guys about her life. But Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles. So she goes by the maiden name, Eliza blank Pinkney. The first wife did the same thing. Sometimes her maiden name pops up as well. We can ask anything you guys want to about her death, how old she was when she died, where did she die from, where is she buried, so forth and so on. The interesting thing about her funeral, you can ask which U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. If that shows you how important she was, like, this was a pretty big deal. We can ask what happened to the mansion. If you notice that the light is blinking over there, which is a good sign, it's usually in sync with your EMF meter. So if you actually hold up the EMF, like you're going to take a selfie, it's usually in sync within about 2 frames on the video. So I tested it dozens of times, and it's usually within 2 frames. So it's like the energy's crossing out here and influencing the very light over there. That light doesn't always blink, sometimes it's on, sometimes it's pulsing much slower than that. But when it's pulsing, like this goes on, it's usually a good sign that you're probably fix something out, whether it's out of our spirit boxes and so forth and so on. Now we are going to separate it here, just so that you can do your own spirit box session. I'm going to use mine so you guys have something extra on your audio instead of just hearing me talk. I do want you guys to please pay attention to the gate at the front. We do get some homeless in here, so just you'll be able to see them on your thermal imaging camera. That's the great thing about it. I'm just glad that they moved the dumpster, because we had a dumpster and a trailer here for a long time. And they would sleep in between them, and it was like, oh, that's really warm over there. I'm like, that's because that's a dude. So the camera would be in some little kid's hands. I'm like, yeah, get away from there, come on over here. But just kind of stay away from, like, just kind of keep an eye out for stuff hanging out in here. Trying to think. I'm going to be poking around at Charles, because what will often happen too is I might ask a question, and the answer might go to your spirit box, my audio, your audio, or my 2 spirit boxes. We never know where the answer is going to go. So that's why I was kind of watching this at the same time you were asking questions while we were in the Red Barn lot. If I turn around and I might say, hey, Charles, what was your big accomplishment? And you say, hey, I just got the word promise. Well, that's because he's created the Pinky Promise. Does that make sense? So that way you have the valid proof that I asked a question, you got the answer 50 yards away from me. That's kind of how this works. So we are going to separate. We're going to probably spend about 10 to 15 minutes in here, because this is like, if I were to have a finale, this would be it. I mean, we're going to move on after this place, but there's a lot of activity here. So poke around at all those questions, stick together, watch the video, see what's going on. Again, that weird cold spot was up in that corner in the top right. So that would be the southeast corner. Wherever you guys go, I'm going to be in the opposite area, so that way we're not crossing the streams. Yes, bad Ghostbuster joke, but it does work on the store. So, pick your poison. Which direction you guys headed?
You want to go that way? Okay.
Wherever she's drawn to.
All right.
I'll see where you guys go.
All right.
Hang out back here.
Do you want me to go in front of the camera?
Did you ask it anything?
How old was Eliza when she died? What did Eliza die from?
over here?
We're not spoofing any ponies.
I see nothing. I just have a feeling here. Who's here?
I just heard Ruth. Rewind by 5 seconds.
Tell me your name.
Eliza, I want you to tell me what kind of music you hear in the background. What kind of instrument is that? What kind of music, what instrument do you hear playing up the street? Something faint, rewind by 5 seconds. Live music.
That's crazy.
What kind of instrument is it?
Do you like the music?
That's a yes or no.
Tell me what you like about the music.
Liza, tell me what kind of instruments you hear. If you notice, like, I'm always asking like one syllable questions.
Right.
It's easy for them to drum it up. No pun intended. President. Which president?
What does it mean when it gets really quick like that?
So it's saying that it's given us, it's got a stronger signal to be able to pick up a word. I heard house. This is not common for here. Which president? You want to tell us which president was the pallbearer at your funeral? Again, you gotta remember, 80% of this is bullshit. I'll always try to relate it, but 80%, most of it is
The only thing
BS.
that makes sense about scale is music.
Music
Like
scale.
playing a scale.
Yeah, but that's almost a reach though.
Right.
I like something a little bit more concrete. So if I got the word drum, that would be or banging. You know what I mean?
Right.
Something like that would be a little bit more. Because I doubt that they're reading music down there.
And I kind of lost my feeling.
No, let's move. Hey, Eliza, tell me what happened to the house that was here. It blew up. Rewind by 5 seconds. How did it blow up? about the president that carried your casket. Tell me what happened to the house.
Occupy.
Horseman.
Huh. Sounds like war talk.
It does.
Eliza, who blew up the house?
Someone on.
Someone on. Yeah, let's see what she's getting. Are you getting anything on your spirit box? Getting anything on yours?
Nothing that I can relate about.
Alright, so the answers to our questions. I was trying to get out of her which president was the pallbearer because we did get the word president. Just didn't get the right word unless I can hear it on yours later. That would have been George Washington. Pretty prominent lady. She was 70 when she died of breast cancer. And she was, that was in Philadelphia, and that's also where she's buried. So she's buried in Philadelphia, yet comes back down here. Charles, I didn't ask any questions to Charles. I was also trying to get out of Eliza what happened to the house here, and it was a fire in that corner, second floor. That's why I like to see where you guys go to see where people are drawn to. And a lot of times people will conclude that it was a fire. It wasn't from any kind of war or anything like that. It was the Great Fire of 1861, which blew up a lot of shit around here. So that would actually make sense. We heard the term "it blew up," which I get often down here. So and I get the word house a lot too. So I don't know if it's just the phrasing and what I'm hearing, but I do get the word house only in this location quite often. So I'm trying to think, what other questions did I tell you guys to ask? What were you asking?
How old Eliza was when she died?
Okay.
What did she die from? Which president was the pallbearer?
Okay.
I did ask about her maiden name as well.
Oh, so Eliza Lucas Pinckney is the one we were looking for Indigo. Eliza Lamb Pinckney, as in the animal, L-A-M-B, was Lamb and Lucas were the names we were looking for there. I forgot to even ask this question. I've been off for a few nights. I usually tell people, go ahead and ask about the daughter as well, because she had 4 kids, only one was a daughter, and sometimes the daughter's name will pop up, or we'll hear it. And her name was Harriet. So, again, just those terms that I look for all the time. The number 22 is also prominent here, because Eliza married at 22, and she was born on December 22nd. Now, the funny thing about the number 22 is it's on the side of that truck over there, on the gas cap. I was just kind of like, oh, shit. Like, because the number 22 is very common for this area. Are you guys familiar with Byron Price's The Secret? It's a treasure hunt. Okay, there's a treasure hunt in 12 different cities across the nation, 12 different treasures. One of them is in Charleston. So the city has actually given me permission to dig in my location. And the number 22, it's a verse and it's like a poem and a painting, but you have to figure out exactly where this is, and none of it makes any kind of sense. It's all jargon. And the number 22 is in the verse. So the number 22 always sticks in my head because of that damn poem and that treasure hunt that I'm involved with. To actually get permission from the city of Charleston, I actually had to go through 3 different committees, and it's pretty much, it was a 50-page PowerPoint presentation that I had to present to them. All suited up, like ready to go. I've already dug once. They're allowing me to do GPR just in case it is moved, because I had it pretty much squared down of where it would be. They allowed me to probe. I had an endoscope camera to put in there. My wife was crawling on the ground, putting the camera in all the holes we dug, trying to find this little box. Like, it's only like 12 inches by 12 inches. I can't remember exactly the size of it, but it's pretty small. But anyway, it's pretty exciting. I've been working on it for a year and a half, and damn, if I find that thing, I'm gonna make it a tour, just so I can charge $50 a head to show people how I actually solved it and write a book on top of that, because I'm a writer and I can't help but write a book. I've already started that. All right, so we're gonna walk up East Bay Street. It's definitely a kind of a masked up area. I will vape from time to time, so that way that's my excuse for not having it on in case a cop stops me. Because vaping, drinking, smoking, all that stuff is permissible. But we're gonna head up to Lodge Alley. Do you guys hang out downtown at all? Do you guys ever come down here?
Not really.
I'm showing you places you've never seen before.
I've been down, actually. She and I have not been down here together much now.
Okay. Yeah, it is interesting, considering this is why people come down here.
Right.
So, and there's a lot to see. So I'll point out a few things. Are you guys like picture takers? I
Yeah.
usually point out like some really great picture spots to take, especially to St. Philip's, because we're gonna get some really cool angles. But as we pass by, we're gonna be passing the customs house, so that's something notable. The market will be empty, of course, if you want to get pictures of that. Of course, if you find any anomalies in there, please send them over. My wife actually does all the photography and graphic design work for me, because that's what she went to school for. We're the perfect duo. She does all my book covers. She's working on Atlantis now. Alice, no. It makes no sense here. And it's weird that I get a phrase. And that does actually show up from time to time. I think it's just part of the bullshit. But anyway, the customs house, the market. Once we get to Lodge Alley, there's usually nobody down there, so if you want to take pictures of that, it's a beautiful alley. So it's not like this one right here, where it's wide open. That's Rafer's Alley. So I want to say we have 12 or 13 alleys here in town. You're going to see 2 of the prettier ones tonight. In Lodge Alley, none of the tours actually use it. I think there's only me and one other person that use that as an actual tour, and I think the other one is an actual alley tour. So it's gorgeous. So let's take a hike.
My daughter came
No, I was looking. Alice Flag
Yeah,
could be related.
Yeah, well, that's a little far away for her down here, because Alice, they did have a home. I did that investigation.
Did you?
Yeah, so that was actually, that's episode number 1 on the podcast.
Okay.
I just had a friend of mine, another investigator, she called me up and she's like, hey, it's Halloween, we're going up to Holly's Island, work on Alice Flag, where do we need to go? I'm like, St. Frederick's Steeple? I'm like, you're not going to the actual cemetery.
Right.
I was like, you need to find St. Frederick's. I was like, so when you find it, be careful, it's protected land, but that's where Alice is buried.
Right. So St. Frederick's is actually in Georgetown County, way out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And yeah, you used to could go in there, but now it's like super protected.
Well, she broke in.
Of course she did.
When I did mine, I did not. I was actually only working with a psychic at the time. There's Alice's real,
Yes.
and it's a flat stone, so you can't see it from the outside gates.
Right.
And she sent me that. That's from Halloween.
Oh wow.
Like, good catch.
You want to switch?
Just watch the camera on the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this?
And like if you want to get an actual meal, like a shrimp or something like that, it's like $30. Yeah, I know. So we like Andy and I went with my uncle, and we felt awful about like getting anything more than
So when the moon is right, you can get a great picture of the flags, moon in the background.
Oh, not just that, but like I start people up. It's not too much shit, like straight up anything.
Some slaves would have been sold right on their steps. They weren't actually sold at the market. That's like a big misnomer.
Yeah.
But once they came through the customs house, you go up to the provost dungeon, and the paperwork would go over That's why I call it the slave mart. But the actual slave mart is on Chalmers Street.
Okay.
So whoever didn't get sold right away between here and the Provost Dungeon, about 6 blocks on the road, they would actually take them over to Chalmers Street, which is 1 more block further toward the middle of the peninsula.
Okay.
Right when you open the door, it's like a black. Oh, it's so bad.
Oh, your EMF? Oh, you have it now?
Yeah, we
Switch
switched.
up?
I decided
I
to
didn't
switch with
notice.
it. Yeah.
So your EMF going through is because of the parking meters. All of our electrical meters are sorry. So you can pretty much ignore it here.
I don't really.
Like, oh yeah, it's about
I think it should be busy down here.
Yeah.
The way the traffic was earlier today.
Oh, and it's a nice night too. It's not like it's cold.
Well, you had rain the past day.
Maybe that's, yeah.
Right? That road around Hawaii for today. Traffic was ridiculous. It took me double time to get to a place. So where did you guys end up parking at?
We're actually, are we down that way? Yeah, we're in the parking garage, yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna end pretty close to here actually.
Okay.
At the Wagner building, which is right across from Pineapple Park. Like not by the pier.
Oh, okay.
So this is the alley we're gonna go down if one of you guys wanted to take pictures. We can check to see if there's anybody down here.
Sure.
Usually not.
You want to?
This looks like it's gonna be up to you. What do we see? Beautiful alley.
Just checking. There's no ghost or anything, right?
Oh yeah, there's gonna be ghosts in there.
Okay, thanks.
So she would have been 85 years old according to the dates on her tombstone. So the story of her dying early in her 20s is pretty much bogus. So, cool. There you go.
Alright, thank you.
You should probably hit the power button.
Okay. Like you said, I broke
First,
it.
I noticed like none of them are the same shape or size. They're not made properly. So like these are obviously 1600s of what we're walking on. Just wide enough for a horse and buggy to come down. So I usually ask if you're. I'm going to be listening for names on the spirit box when we come through here. Notice how your EMF is pretty steady. That's coming from the restaurant. So don't worry about there. This is Lodge Alley and this is Lodge Alley itself. Hotels have claims that they have their own versions they can vendor. But none of them give me free rooms, so I'm not going to verify what they do. I got friends in Lodge Alley that's working still that's working on that. He's actually getting into it 3 or 4. But these 2 buildings that were on the side of us, they weren't here. So people used to live here. I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived here. So if the name pops up out of any spirit box, I usually get the name Benjamin and John together. Benjamin shows up sometimes by himself, but sometimes John accompanies him. And the weird thing about that, they both lived here in 1801. They were only 2 out of the 4 residents. So that's half the people that lived here show up like, hey, we're hanging out.
What year?
1801. So there was residents here up until 1891, I think. So I want to say it started in like 1795 and went all the way up to like 1890. So I have all of those residents, and it's not a census list, it's more like name, occupation, and what year they lived there. That's all it is. So the people that lived here were considered lower class. They did do an archaeological dig, found some of the tools, silverware, little pieces of their clothing. They considered them low class. Now, I also told you the peninsula was much skinnier. So kind of picture those buildings down there wouldn't have been there. So low tide would have been coming in, and this would have been a horrible place to live, just because of that awful smell that comes in. But I do get weird things at the end of this. Like sometimes children will come through on the spirit box. Like I'll hear children laughing. I'll get kids or something on my spirit box. Like weird things happen with kids. So I don't normally like dive into that because I don't know if these people had families. It doesn't give me that information, unfortunately. So I just kind of let it by. It's just a commonality. Pictures, when the digital camera's out with my groups of 10, I usually have somebody take 2 pictures coming in, 2 pictures going out. And I usually have green lights or bring it on or super bright. So on my Facebook page, that's something.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the tourism center Facebook page, you'll see the evidence filters. So all of their pictures get uploaded to their own folder, and then I take every line and touch it. So shadow people, weird light and all those things my wife can't explain, they all go in there, and a lot of them come from this town. So I'm not getting much out of this. Obviously, you're not listening, but it's still recording. And your EMF, if something does happen down this way, it's exciting because this is usually dead. So, I'm trying to think what else happened down here. Oh, the Masons and Freemasons also used to be down here before it was a residence. So we're talking pre-1790. So a lot of things have gone in this alley, and it's been here forever. And it's sloped the way it is on purpose, so that way the water can drain right into the center of the sewer line. So this would have been considered right inside the Charlestown walls, just inside. So the Charlestown walls, we actually came through where the edge of it came through inland by Cumberland Street, and it worked its way around, and it stops down the track. So Charlestown walls are still learning what all the names of the bastions are. So it's one of those, it's not really part of my tour, it's just a weird curiosity. So we'll have the letter C. Does that make sense to anybody?
But I heard when you were talking out of energy.
Out of energy, okay. I got single chief Z, which is so weird. That's a weird, and I've never seen the word Ernie yet.
That was
Yeah, that's super weird. Are you getting any weird anomalies on there? Because I will get like weird. So that doorway up there shoots out air conditioning at the bottom of the door. Probably see the cold air coming out. Now, at times I'll
You can
see
see the light up there.
Like fingers coming up real quick, and it's just a weird little swirl of blue cold air that'll come up out of nowhere and just kind of dissipate. I've seen that a few times in here too. But that's another great picture, like from this angle, just looking at the old windows.
Yeah.
Like that. So we're going to walk through the end of this alley. We don't have any lasers for us to worry about, so I normally give the heated warning we're going to be in a neighborhood. But you are going to get some great pictures. If you stick to the right, you're going to see St. Philip's off in the distance. Your flash is on. What kind of phone are you using? It's like the same one I have.
it's an iPhone.
Oh, that's not the same one. The flash is on. You can get the steeple in the background with the 2 old buildings on the side.
Oh,
if you do the
nice.
flash off, you're not going to be able to see the steeple in the background. So that way you kind of reflects it. Sorry, the wife's a photographer. I learned a few things about light reflections and
You're
shutter
good.
speeds. And by all means, if you want to listen to that, turn it up and prepare it a little bit. You never know what's going to come out of it. You guys see okay?
Yeah.
I'm fully prepared. What's cool is the spirit box you're using, it actually has a flashlight on it too. So if you're like hanging out in like tunes and shit, you got a little flashlight to help you out.
Michelle, you hear him?
Your spirit box actually has a flashlight on it too.
Oh, okay,
So
cool.
yeah, I love that little device. So the bottom right corner of the face, did you hear something?
Yeah, but I couldn't quite tell what it said. I know it sounded like it said, but
What did it sound like?
So I said FB.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. There's a nice orb, no flash. Hold on.
I should
There
also.
it is.
What?
3 of them.
Yeah, an orb.
You see them?
I think that might be on your phone because it's moving with your phone.
Hold on.
Looks like I have there's stuff right there, but it might be like air conditioning or something.
Yeah. So the white lines actually help you see three-dimensional because the camera will not see 3D. So it'll put white outlines around things that it thinks are an object based on the heat signatures. So both iPhone users, I see the Apple Watch
Yeah.
killing me. So the wife by day is a mobile manager for Best Buy.
Okay.
She knows every cell phone, every camera. So if somebody takes a picture and there's something there, I usually say, what phone are you using? And what kind of, which device? Because my wife will be able to interpret based on what kind of device it is if it's a weird thing that just happens with my phone. Which
That
happens
makes
often.
sense.
We debunk
Yeah.
quite a bit. Debunking is half the job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is on my phone, but I can't get it off.
It's picking up like the people at the end of the alley too, the cars and stuff.
Yeah. I have a little towel. I'm gonna try to wake it
I
off.
think you said piece of junk. You might be correct.
Yeah, it's Apple. I agree. If you want to try to wake off the, I always press the point if you want to try to wake it up. Yep. That's great for your audio.
Okay.
Definitely let you know you're in Charleston. Still there?
Still going?
I think it's still there. Unfortunately.
You go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, a significant portion. You know what I mean? She's got a large group, so I usually tell the story out here so I don't get interrupted. This is also their big finale. So they already don't like me, so I just kind of stay out of their way. I steal a lot of their business. It doesn't look like it tonight, but I'm grateful you guys are here.
Yeah.
So
We are too.
that's Philadelphia Alley. Used to be known as Dual Alley. Before that, it was called Cow Alley. So I bring that up because the word cow often usually shows up while we're in there too. So the story we all tell is based on local stories. So Joseph Brown Ladd moved down here from Rhode Island. We should keep those initials in mind, RI from Rhode Island, because it shows up again, just a commonality. We all tell this story because it's the most common, the thing we can actually prove, because Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd wrote a memoir in poetry format about his beloved Amanda. Now, we did get the word Amanda before, so sometimes if it's too far away, I almost dismiss it. we're about 5 blocks, maybe a quarter of a mile away from where that showed up at, so I'm almost like at a dismissal with it because I didn't see anything else relevant to that. So if I see something else like duel or the person he dueled come up, then yeah, I put it together. But because we're so far away. But he moved down here because he was supposed to get married, and Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her parents, and the attorney handling that money said, send the doctor away, I think he's just after your money, and the doctor moved to Charleston. So the coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. Saying that he was somewhat wealthy based on his clothing, nodded off to a buddy, he set him up to a hotel where he would have been killed. Somebody sees what's going on, his name is Ralph Isaacs with the initials R.I., and he says, let me take you somewhere else. Let me take you somewhere safe. I'm a local townsman. Takes him to 59 Church Street, which is the Rose Hall house. There is activity outside that home. Nothing that could be influencing. I haven't done a full investigation because I don't like to just do things from the outside. But at any rate, he rents a room upstairs. Everything's going well. Him and Ralph become friends. Doctor's practice starts to take off. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor because he's making lots of money, and Amanda's going to be moving down soon so they can get married. In the meantime, he's writing that memoir I told you about. His sister publishes it after his death. So I'll explain all that later, because I get the word literature, writer, poetry, all kinds of things show up. I didn't even know that in the first 6 months that I was telling this story. It just kind of happened, and I got more words to research. So anyway, him and Ralph, because they're in different parts of society now, so the doctor's making more money, he gets better seats at the plays that they go see. So they can't sit next to each other. They talk about these plays on the way home. They go see Richard III one night. They're talking about the new actress in town. The doctor loves the new actress. Ralph does not. They argue. Turns into an insult party back on Amanda. The two get really pissed off at each other and go their separate ways. Now, Ralph is from Charleston. He's a local attorney. Attorneys back then aren't what we think of attorneys now. He calls the newspaper and says, I want to put an ad in. Pretty much calls the doctor a disgrace to Charleston. Well, he takes their money. He's not from here, yada, yada, yada. The doctor rebuttals with, let's go to Duel's Alley and settle this. When you think of a duel, what normally happens?
Someone gets shot and killed.
Well, shot.
Shot.
So duels are guns. So, well, during that time, so we're talking 1790, 1780, in that time period. But at any rate, so that's a misnomer, of course. Most duels were shot in the ground. They were just an act of bravery or courage that you're willing to take a bullet for what you believe in. So the doctor and Ralph come down and take 20 paces. They turn, they shoot. Well, the doctor points his gun in the air and shoots. Didn't want to kill his friend. Just wanted to make a point. Ralph took a shot on the kneecap of the doctor. Didn't kill him, but he drops. Normally, if there was a death, there's a doorway that I'm going to show you guys when we get in there. I'm waiting for her to pass. It's off to the left. The dead guy would go through the courtyard, over to St. Philip's. They drop the body in a pre-dug grave, and then they go celebrate the winner. That's kind of how it went. That didn't happen. Instead of the doctor being carried through the courtyard, they carried him home, which is about a mile and a half from here. He died 10 days later. So what's the moral of the story? Don't get engaged to Amanda. You're gonna die. They say as you walk through here, you can hear the whistles from the Whistling Doctor. Now, I have two that I can't debunk. A year and a half I've been doing this. Two. That's it. They also say you can hear gunshots. I call bullshit. I haven't yet to catch any kind of gunshots at all. Now, that's why we're using different pieces, as you can see, in different areas, because I carry so many different things. I did get the word energy. Did you have energy in a phrase before?
You said low energy?
Right over there, it's out of energy.
Out of energy.
I got a bunch of things, but none of them actually make sense. Behind, grin, they laugh, chat, vote, and energy. Makes no sense.
Behind they laugh. Maybe it's picking up that group over there.
Maybe. Well, we got the word behind when we were taking pictures of Lodge Alley. So that's where it came up. You know, it was almost like my direction. Like, go behind you. Because I was staring at Lodge Alley. But anyway, the other piece of this, you guys already mentioned the fingerprints. So what do you know about those?
So what I know about them, what we learned, where were we?
That was, which plantation?
Oh, it
Boone
was-
Hall?
No.
Where did we go?
Right.
No.
Which plantation did we go to?
Middle-
It was, no. It does start with an M.
Wasn't Magnolia.
Well, Magnolia has Middleton Place.
It's the one that, it's closer to James Island.
Gosh, which one did we go to?
It's the McLeod.
McLeod.
Plantation.
Thank you. McLeod,
Okay.
yes.
So we learned over there is that they made the bricks over there and the little kids' fingerprints were in them.
The slave children would turn the bricks in the sun. And then
So they are sun-dried. These are the same bricks. So Same mentality. We have the finger swipes. They're at the end. We do have one full handprint. Now, what I'm going to point out about the handprint is that the thumb goes over into another brick, which means a kid had to put the brick in wet, and slam his hand into it, kind of like a F you, I don't want to do this shit anymore. So it's pretty deep. So it's a slam his hand in there, and kind of wiggle it around and make sure his print was there. It is outside somebody's home. So we're going to be swift. If you want pictures of it, have your camera ready, and we're going to be kind of quick going through there. I'm going to point things out with my toe and just kind of keep moving. The guy that lives there claims that the bricks were put there in 2001. So, yeah, he comes out to my tours all the time and tries to debunk what we're looking at. He's like, trust me, I've been living here. Okay, great. But at any rate, why would somebody even do that? Would we really fake our slave history?
I guess yeah, nothing better to do.
Just want red for a minute.
Did it really? Your phone was near it.
Just for a second.
Yeah, debunk. Oh, now I get the word song.
Song?
Well, we were asking about the drums when we were back at Pinckney Mansion site. So we were asking Eliza what instrument she heard. I was waiting for the word drum. I always try to think of things where the answer is going to be 1 or 2 syllables. It's easier for them to muster it up and get the energy to get the word speak. So we're going to go through this gate. We're going to make a right so you guys can check out the gate over there real quick, especially if you wanted pictures. And then we're going to walk through the alley that way. But if you stand across the parking spaces over there, you get a great pic of St. Philip Steeple from a distance.
Yeah, that's nice.
Right here. That's a great job. Just putting you to work. You guys paid me to boss you around. It's great. Best job in the world. So what do you guys do? Speaking of jobs?
I do computer stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, we
What
both
kind of
work.
computer stuff?
I'm an application support analyst.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and then Michelle actually just started a new job not too long ago with Humana, so she's actually an analyst as well. So we're both working from home, which is wonderful.
Yeah, sure.
For sure.
Can you hold my equipment for a second?
I sure can.
I need 2 hands. Don't drop it.
Now, when you say application support, is that like website or actual apps?
It's websites. So I actually work for Booz Allen Hamilton.
Okay.
They're a big government contractor.
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, and our contract that I'm working on, the project that I'm working on right now, is with the VA. So it's the applications that the people that work at the VA use. So it's not like actual like end users. It's people. It's like VA employees. They use the applications. So yeah.
The reason why I ask is I wanted to make, because I take over this business, I'm just partnered with somebody who's basically holding insurance. He kind of recruited me out of my 6-figure job to be happy. So I'm taking everything over and getting away from him in January, but I wanted to create an app where it's a virtual tour. Like they use a map to get to where they're going, and then once they get there, a voiceover, like a recording of my voice telling them the story of where they're at,
Right.
of what that building is while they're standing there. And I just don't have to be there, but it'll be a paid app only, and I just didn't know how that would actually work. The Stories in a Cemetery has always been my brand anyway because of the podcast. I just brought it to Charleston Cavalier Tours, which is how you booked us.
Right.
But that's his umbrella company. He wanted to get like 5 more of different things like me, but I'm not recruiting for him.
Yeah.
I used to be in human resources. I was in retail management for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And human resources was one of my big keys. And I was like, I'm not recruiting for you. I got too much going on with what I'm doing for the tours and this, that, and the other. It's like,
Right.
plus I'm trying to make extra money on slow weeks. But anyway, I need to find somebody to kind of either help me build this or pay a freelancer to do it for me.
Yeah.
But it would be a Stories in a Cemetery app where they can literally go to, I have probably 30 to 50 stories, around town that will literally just map them through everything. What did you hear?
Yay!
That's interesting.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not a developer, so I'm front end. I'm not back end. So
Well, my wife is also front end because she's in graphic design. She actually made the Stories in a Cemetery from scratch.
Nice.
Also the logo. So she, all my printed shirts, the hats, we have coffee mugs now. But we're getting ready to do a billboard on 26 that basically says "Let's go ghost hunting" in the same font as Charleston. So it'll be a stories in a cemetery, and you can Google it and find it on anything now.
Very cool.
But
Very cool.
anyway, let's go check out the alley. Enough about my business. Oh, they left the gate open, so I gotta get a creepy sound effect for you. Oh, didn't give me much.
Oh man.
Going through and make a right. Watch
Better
your
than
step.
nothing. Though.
So the gate is gonna be here.
Getting
Like,
attacked.
really,
by
You are being
horses.
attacked. Go ahead.
What did
Don't
you
get
say?
attacked.
She got attacked.
This would have been, like, the gate wasn't here, but the doorway, this is the original wall for the alley. So, again, they would have been taken through this courtyard to make a left over to the cemetery, which we're going to basically be walking behind. By the way, with nobody here, that's another great picture.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
This is the most gorgeous place in all of Charleston. I
It
don't care what
is.
anybody says. I love it down here.
Oh my gosh, this thing keeps responding to you.
To me?
I know, it's crazy.
No, you're getting responsive, so I'm not getting much at all. Wheelchair? He would have needed a wheelchair. With his kneecap going out, huh?
Right?
I don't know that he would have had one during those times. Like I say, my stories say that he was carried home.
The same wheelchair would have
He
been
could have been in a
Helpful.
wheelchair at home.
wheelchair would have been helpful. A mile and a half walk.
Yeah, right? Yeah, alteration. So, I'm not take responsibility. Stand back here by the doorway. With your flash on, you can see Philip and the flash in the same picture. Sorry, I do all the touristy stuff too, so.
It's okay, we like it. We like to take pictures of stuff.
Well, it gives the spirit box more time to just keep recording in the same location too.
Sure.
So.
You getting a picture of that too? Got the cross up top.
Branches are getting pretty tall. One's grown out of the bricks.
Yeah.
I do stuff for marketing too.
Rock Charleston.
Sometimes it's not. Well, sometimes it is.
Yeah, so you can imagine I do all the social media and marketing for. Did you hear something else besides Charleston? I almost expect that because we're in Charleston. The radio stations are gonna.
Right.
Yeah.
Radio stations pick up.
If somebody says, "Can you tell us where we are?" I'm like, that's too common.
Yeah. About what is the name of this alley?
Now it's Philadelphia Alley.
Yeah.
After a building became illegal and stupid, we had to name it after a city that helped us out of one of the dozens of fires that we've had. I don't remember which one they saved us from. It'll be on the plaque, I think, that she took a picture of.
Go Philly.
Well, Philadelphia shows up a lot with us because of Eliza. So you're going to start to see those fingerprints right about here.
Oh yeah, right here.
They're going to be out, and then the handprints at the very end. A lot of people ask me why we don't actually go through cemeteries. If you were dead, would you be hanging out where you're buried?
Yeah.
We're walking through a cemetery now with all of the fires and war and famine and all the shit we've had here. That's why we do it this way instead of actually going up to the cemetery.
Yeah.
We're not going to get much activity at all. More fingerprints here. So there's the 3 bricks pretty close together. Handprints up here. Handprints right there. Pretty spot Charles. That is beautiful. Audrey, does that mean anything to you guys?
Audrey?
Yeah.
That's a dermatologist I saw the day before yesterday.
One of my old nicknames.
Audrey?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't I know about that?
That's what JR used to call me.
Sorry, I assumed the two of you were a couple.
We are.
And how did you not know what her nickname was? that's why I was like, hang
Why
on.
are you keeping things from me?
That's what I was
I've
getting
had,
at.
that's the thing is I've had many nicknames.
That's okay. She still doesn't know the ones I grew up with.
See?
I guess that would be a discussion now when we get home.
Yep. That's the car ride.
Look,
That's nice. I
that's
like
a cool
that.
window.
That is.
Didn't see many stained glass out here.
My husband. Just heard my husband.
These are all people's homes. I'm only allowed to cut through here. It's the art district, so all of your art galleries are usually around here. So whenever they do like the art gallery stuff,
yeah.
they cut through here. Yeah.
I saw that they do a thing like in January. You can go to all the art museums for like.
The artists exhibit all their work, of course. We actually stopped here. This is our last stop. We're going to go to the front of this building, but I like to tell the story back here just because it makes more sense when you look at it from this point of view. So this is the Wagner building. So it faces the Vendu on East Bay Street. So this used to be part of our cotton industry. It's condos now in the back, and they're turning the front into a wedding reception area. So good luck to those couples, because this place is haunted as hell. Probably cursed. So, this was also a brewery, I want to say just a few years back, so like 5 years ago. It was, what was the name of that place? I can't remember, East something Brewery, but it was haunted just because of the story I'm about to tell you. So, Amelia. I'm getting weird stuff with you guys. Like, this is just strange shit.
You're welcome.
Yeah, right? It's okay. I'm gonna look into that wheelchair piece though, for sure. But anyway, so the last guy who had this as a cotton warehouse, his name was George Poirier. And George inherited the business from his dad, clueless, silver spoon kid, had no idea what the hell he was doing. So he needs to get out of the business because he got himself into a bunch of debt and blew through his inheritance pretty quick. So we also had the boll weevil in town. So the boll weevil is a bug that eats cotton, so he's pretty much fucked. And he needs to just get rid of it. He doesn't want to sell it to the Americans because then his debts won't be repaid, so forth, because of the boll weevil. So what's he do? He sells it to the British. So from the front of his office on the second story floor, your online stories will tell you third story. My data says number 2 all the time. So from the second story, he watches the ship roll up. They unload all the cotton from horse and buggy. These back really cool garage doors you see that belong to the condos now. And he's watching everything in his office. Once everything gets loaded, somebody gets too close to the cotton with a pipe. The whole ship catches fire. Everybody dies. George is already depressed because his dad's gone and he's been into a bunch of debt, yada yada yada. He decides he's going to pull up all the furniture, with the captain's chair on the top, climb it, swing a noose, and hang himself. Now, there's rumors that they put the word scale again. If something comes up twice, that's when I'm like, what the hell? So I got to look into the scales and figure out what's going on. But it just doesn't make any sense. It could be scale as a verb as well.
Like scaling a wall?
Yeah.
Climbing?
Just weird.
Well, the
Anyway,
first time we saw it, we were asking about music.
yeah.
Like, we were asking
You said
Eliza
music scale?
what she was hearing. And so now you're talking about... I just got goosebumps.
I did too.
So,
Kendall makes pianos.
What?
shut the front door. Are you
What?
kidding?
I'm for real. Look it up.
Is that?
Give us the word piano. Because I tell 2 stories here, and neither one of them deals with music. And I should know that because I'm a musician. I just haven't played in years.
No, it makes sense because you can play scales on a piano.
Right. So weird. I'll Google it. Don't you worry.
I'm doing it now because I'm impatient.
I can't give you the evidence back till tomorrow. Because I got to convert all the files overnight,
Yeah.
and then they're usually ready for me in the morning. So anyway, I was a newspaper kid that found the body swinging the next morning. They say you could see the shadow of a swinging corpse from the windows where he hung himself. Now, our camera does not see through windows. It looks at them as, I'm sure you noticed, the windows are blue, the building is usually, right.
Yeah.
You can't see through them. So what I'm looking for there is you're going to give me a quick sweep of the second story windows
Okay.
and see if those turn a darker blue or if they turn black. Oh, these poor guys that light up their vans, they crack me up.
And crank the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, right? And they're having a blast in there. The one guy was YouTubing it, Facebook living it, right?
Right.
So, at any rate, we're looking for darker blue. That means something's influencing it from the inside.
Okay.
If you want to take pictures and try to lighten them up, usually that's what I have my digital camera person do. That's all on you. If you want to show me something, you see a shadow of a swinging corpse. I do get little blips here and there. I haven't seen like the full body hanging, but it's usually the word chair that pops up while I'm here. Now, where we came out of the decimal.
Oh, wow. That makes a lot of sense. Because you were just saying that everyone's gone, so obviously back to work.
Yeah. Interesting. I have another ghost that follows me here. You guys have been here for a few years. You've probably heard the restaurant Cleveland's Porch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's 2 blocks away from where we came out of Philly Alley. So that's Zoe St. Amon's old house. So she used to live there. It wasn't a restaurant during the time that she lived there. Her last name is Saint Amand, so that means she's of French descent. Kind of went back in her genealogy a little bit. Her ancestors actually were part of the Huguenots that started Charleston with the Charleston
Wow.
Walls. So she lived there with her sister Elizabeth. So again, Elizabeth shows up from time to time too. A lot of times, like I'll have people asking Zoe questions, and I know it's Zoe when she pops up on my spirit box because her name is spelled Z-O-E, not Z-O-E-Y. So I get that at least once, twice a month when I'm super busy. So it's pretty common. But she'll also tell you what color her house is now. And if you ask her what her house is now, you'll get words like spoon, fork, eat, table. Like I said, 1 to 2 syllable words. Restaurant is a lot to come up with, and restaurant isn't always said on the spirit box. So it would be hard to find that word. So you're going to find other words wrapped around that. But again, it's just a matter of, like, this is almost a hit or miss. Sometimes I have one person, sometimes I don't have anybody. It just depends. Sometimes I get both. So it depends. So you're going to definitely listen to your spirit box on the way there. Your EMF is going to go crazy when we hit the main street because of the parking meters again. But you're going to get me some quick video along the front. I'll answer any questions you have. Once we get off the air, if you want to ask anything darker, so I try to keep this family friendly for the radio edit. And then if you guys want to ask me darker things, you can, because it seems like you're in tune with that. I'm perfectly fine answering questions, because they do a lot of extra stuff that we're not doing right here.
No.
So if you notice, everything we have is electronic. I don't bring dowsing rods and Ouija boards and tarot cards on this. Like, that's all based on somebody's feeling.
Right.
Again, that's why I don't bring my feelings into this, because you guys can't prove them. I'm giving you things that you can prove. So again, people come on this thinking, you get scratched or whatever. It's kind of like, no. You might not even see anything tonight. It's going to come up in the morning as the actual evidence. It's not something you're going to see somebody's ghost just hanging out.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
let's go see if we find it.
Kind of cool.
I know, right? Well, it's cool when I find the two black heads going across the wall the next day on my TV. Like, holy shit. And the only reason I was trying, they said they saw a shadow. So they rushed me up there. There's a full group of 10. And I was trying to debunk it. Like, you guys pointed out. Cars swung by, some of these lights flashed the wrong way.
We're gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. If you guys don't mind, as soon as this light changes.
So, windows were those first two, and then the one above, like the circular corner there. Some people like to go across the street and try to get a better angle, but it's whatever you want to do. I'll look at it either way. Potentially give you more to listen to later. I'm surprised not too many tours actually stop here. They don't normally know this story.
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as I can cross the street, I'll go over.
Okay. Yeah, I should hang out here and see if my dear box grabs anything.
Babe!
Take it she's the brave one of the group?
No, she's not.
Playing chicken?
I don't know what she's doing. Very surprised with that.
She's into it.
She's
focused.
She is. She loves this kind of stuff. This is kind of like an early birthday present for her, so.
Oh, nice. I can tell she's like absorbing every
Yes.
word I'm saying.
She loves this kind of stuff. I do too. She's always wanted to do like the ghost hunting, though, like with equipment and stuff.
So the goal for me is to actually have a store where I sell the equipment and books, because obviously I'm a writer.
Right.
And the upstairs will be rented out as a haunted hotel.
Nice.
So
All right, I'll be back.
that would have been.
I heard something on here about him too.
There was they laughed in chat. That was right before we went into Philly Alley. But no camera. Did your camera do something weird in Philly Alley? What did it do?
That's where I couldn't get any pictures to take correctly.
Was that Lodge Alley or Philly Alley? Because
Both.
this would have been in Philadelphia Alley because the word song came up right afterwards.
Because I'll show you a picture of it.
Waiting for something to come up blurry. iPhones don't normally come up blurry.
So this is why I was having trouble getting anything to focus. I kept hitting 3 dots in the episode.
That's weird.
I didn't take a better picture. I have to focus on the picture.
Some of the pictures I have in my evidence folder, or people don't remember taking the picture, and there's weird shadows in them. So we might actually have to send that to me. Send that over to me, and I'll throw it through some filters and see what I can get out of it. What did I got happen? Fiber. Somebody must have to poop. Somebody's got to take it out. Get some fiber. All right, ladies, I'm gonna call it, and we'll see. Let's see. You got an hour and 47 minutes of audio, so we're gonna have plenty to listen to for more EVPs. I like this run.
Says anything about pooping.